Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most foundational documents in American history. Something that touches the lives of every single person in the United States, whether they realize it or not. We're talking about the Bill of Rights. But this isn't just going to be a dry history lesson. We're going to explore the dramatic story behind these first 10 amendments and understand how they didn't just add to the Constitution. They completely transformed the concept of individual freedom in America. Imagine this. It's 1787. The Revolutionary War is over. And the Articles of Confederation, the first attempt at a national government, have proven to be a disaster. The nation's leaders gather in Philadelphia to forge a new government, one with enough power to actually function. After months of heated debate, they produce the Constitution. It's a brilliant framework for a federal government with checks and balances. But as it's sent to the states for ratification, a huge problem emerges. A powerful group, known as the Anti-Federalists, raises a massive alarm. Their argument was powerful and resonated with a public that had just fought a war against a tyrannical king. They looked at this new Constitution and asked, where are the guarantees for our individual liberties? Where is the protection against this new, powerful central government doing the exact same thing the British Crown did? Figures like Patrick Henry and George Mason argued that without a specific list of rights, the federal government could one day trample on the very freedoms they had fought and died for. They feared a government that could silence the press, establish a state religion, or seize property without reason. The fear was real, and it was threatening to derail the entire project of creating a new nation. The Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, initially pushed back. They argued that the Constitution itself was a Bill of Rights. The government was only given specific, enumerated powers, so anything not listed was, by default, a right reserved for the people. They even worried that listing certain rights might imply that those were the only asterisk rights people had. But the public outcry was too loud to ignore. Several key states, including giants like Virginia and New York, only agreed to ratify the Constitution on the condition that a Bill of Rights would be added immediately. This is where James Madison, often called the father of the Constitution, becomes the hero of our story. Initially, he was skeptical about a Bill of Rights, but he was also a pragmatist. He saw that without one, the new union could fracture before it even began. So he took on the monumental task himself. He sifted through over 200 different proposals sent in by the states. These weren't just abstract ideas. They were born from direct, painful experiences under British rule. The demand for protection against unreasonable searches and seizures that came from the hated writs of assistance, general warrants that let British officials ransack anyone's home, the right to a trial by jury. That was a response to colonists being shipped off to be tried in courts, controlled by the Crown, far from their peers. Madison carefully distilled these demands into a series of proposed amendments. He presented them to the very first Congress in 1789, and let me tell you, it was not an easy sell. Some in Congress thought it was a waste of time, while others wanted to make even more radical changes to the government structure. But Madison was persistent. He argued eloquently that these amendments would build confidence in the new government and unite the country. After more intense debate and revision, Congress passed 12 amendments and sent them to the states for ratification. On December 15, 1791, with Virginia's approval, 10 of those 12 amendments were officially ratified. And just like that, the Bill of Rights was born. So, how did this transform America? Let's start with the First Amendment. It's arguably the most famous, guaranteeing freedom of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. Before this, such freedoms were not guaranteed. The British government had laws against seditious libel, which made it a crime to criticize the king or government, even if the criticism was true. Many colonies had official, state-sponsored churches that everyone was expected to support. The First Amendment swept that away, created a marketplace of ideas where citizens could speak their minds, worship as they pleased, and hold their leaders accountable without fear of imprisonment. This is the very bedrock of a functioning democracy. Then you have the Second, Third, and Fourth Amendments. These directly addressed the military abuses of the British. The Second Amendment's right to bear arms was seen as a check against a tyrannical government, ensuring a citizen militia could be formed. The Third Amendment, which forbids quartering soldiers in private homes, might seem odd to us today, but it was a major grievance for the colonists who were forced to house and feed British troops. And the Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. It says the government QAN just barge into your home or rifle through your belongings without a warrant based on probable cause. This established a fundamental right to privacy and security in our own homes. Next up are the rights of the accused, the Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments. These are the pillars of our justice system. The Fifth Amendment gives us the right to a grand jury, protects against being tried for the same crime twice. That double jeopardy, and famously gives us the right to remain silent, so we don't have to incriminate ourselves. It also establishes the principle of due process, meaning the government must follow fair procedures and just compensation if it takes private property for public use. The Sixth Amendment guarantees a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury. The right to know what you're being accused of, the right to confront your accusers, and the right to have a lawyer. Before this, you could be thrown in jail indefinitely without a trial or legal help. The Seventh Amendment guarantees a jury trial in certain civil cases. And the Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive bail and cruel and unusual punishment. Together, these amendments created a legal shield for the individual, ensuring that even when accused of a crime, a person is treated with fairness and dignity. A radical departure from the often arbitrary and brutal systems of the Old World. Finally, we have the Ninth and Tenth Amendments. These are brilliant in their simplicity and foresight. The Ninth Amendment is Madison's solution to the Federalist fear we talked about earlier. It says that just because certain rights are listed in the Constitution, it doesn't mean that those are the only rights people have. This acknowledges that our freedoms are vast and cannot be fully enumerated. And the Tenth Amendment reinforces the principle of federalism. It states that any powers not specifically given to the federal government nor prohibited to the states are reserved for the states or the people. This was a crucial reassurance to those who feared an all-powerful national government, establishing a balance of power that continues to be debated to this day. The Bill of Rights wasn't an instant miracle. For a long time, it was interpreted to only apply to the federal government, not the states. It took the Civil War and the passage of the 14th Amendment, and many subsequent Supreme Court cases over the next century, to gradually apply these protections to state and local governments as well. It's the struggle to live up to the ideals of the Bill of Rights for women, for African Americans, for all minorities is a central, ongoing story in American history. But the transformation it set in motion is undeniable. The Bill of Rights fundamentally shifted the relationship between the government and the governed. It enshrined the idea that individuals have inherent rights that the government cannot take away. It changed the national conversation from one of what is the government allowed to do, to what is the government forbidden from doing to its citizens. It created a culture of liberty that has inspired movements for freedom and democracy around the globe. So the next time you read a news article, post an opinion online, or even just feel secure in your own home, take a moment to think about the dramatic struggle that took place over 2 centuries ago. The Bill of Rights wasn't just a list of ideas. It was a hard-won promise, forged in debate and compromise, that completely redefined what it means to be free in America. It's a living document, and understanding its story is essential to understanding ourselves and the nation we live in. Thanks so much for watching. You found this interesting? Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which amendment you think is the most important today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious.